Hello, my spooky baby darlings. Anyway, today's video is probably the most important video I have done yet, and probably the most important video I will ever do, because it involves an absolute worldwide epidemic right now, okay? It's something that needs to be more talked about. It's not talked about enough. There is this kind of like stigma behind it. It's a very complex situation. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. This video hits home because it involves one family member in particular, but several of my family members struggle with addiction. And it does not matter if it is a prescription addiction, alcohol, hard substances, it doesn't matter. It's all equally as difficult, and recovery is possible, all that good stuff. I can't even say it enough. How hard I know people work to be, I don't even like saying sobriety, because sometimes there are aids that people need, such as the good old cannabinoids. Gotta be careful how I say that on the YouTubes, but whether it be that, listen, it's recovery. It's recovery, it's sobriety, it's however their story goes. We don't judge on this channel unless you're a freaking murderer, then we're judging. Okay, so this family member in particular gave me permission to use her name and pictures, and I asked her, I think it was like 27 questions. And so I interviewed her and got her responses, so we're gonna be going through those today. She has been in recovery for quite some time now, and I'm so proud of her, and she's doing great things, and I am just so happy for her. I could not be more proud, and yeah, she's awesome. Today's video is about my cousin. Her name is Haley, and she was born one day before my birthday. She's a few years younger than me, but her birthday is May 4th, my birthday is May 5th. We are Taurus besties, and it shows. So, Haley is my mother's brother's daughter. So, my mom's brother is Haley's father, and my mom's brother's wife's daughter. You know what I mean? Our parents are siblings, okay? Okay, great. We move on. I asked her quite a few questions, so we're just gonna go in order. We had communicated over text messages, questions and answers, so that's where I will be getting my information straight word for word from her. So my first question to her, besides asking if I can use her name and pictures, I wanted her to describe like her hardships growing up, like things that stick out to her that may be pertinent to her life story thus far, things like that. And here is what she had to say. Haley states that she knows several people who are going through addiction and recovery, and they had very rough lives growing up, had rough childhoods, had terrible family members, abuse, neglect, all that sort of thing. She states she did not have any of that. Her mom and dad were very stable. She was always well taken care of. She was very loved. She had grandparents and cousins and aunts and all that good stuff that they loved her to death. You know, she had a really good childhood. She had no complaints. However, around the age of 9, her parents got custody of her nephew. So there was some addiction going on with his mom and dad, and so her nephew came to live with them. And that is the first time that she can recollect talking or hearing about drug addiction and that lifestyle. She also states that she remembers being in 5th grade or so, and she would use her own fingernails to like scratch herself and scrape herself to try to hurt herself. And back then she didn't really know what she was doing, but today she does obviously know what she was trying to do. And she never really told her parents anything. She never really reached out for help. She just kind of thought that they would just know and they would get her the help that she needed. It didn't go quite as planned. She then goes on to say that she acted out as a teen pretty bad. She had some like behavioral issues, and she says now she realizes that this was a cry for help, but she wasn't relaying that message to her parents very well. So she just got grounded instead of, you know, therapy or something like that. I then asked her, like, what was your drug of choice? Like, how did you get started in this? And she said that she used cocaine at first, and that kind of led her into eventually starting to use meth. She said that she would occasionally take pills here and there, but the speed, as she said, was her absolute favorite. That was her go-to girl. That was just it for her. I then just asked her, like, what led you into this? What was like your moment? Like, what happened? She said that at first it was kind of just like a thing that was fun. And then she said that it kind of just, you know, grasped her too tightly, and she felt like she was born again after each hit. She loved the energy. She loved all of the endorphins going through her. It was the feeling that kind of suffocated her into the lifestyle that she ended up going down for quite some time. I asked her, did you use alone or did you like to use with people? She said that she almost always used with someone, and she stated that her supplier was a close family member, so she was always, you know, down to hang out with them, and it was easy to get together and use together. I then asked her, how long did your active addiction last? Like, how long were you in it? And she said it lasted about 1.5 years, and the only reason that she ended up stopping was because she got arrested, and when she got out, she ran to Florida. I then asked her, during like your active addiction, when you were in it, like, what stood out to you? What is something that, like, when you think of your active addiction, like, what comes to your mind? And she says the first thing that stands out to her most was the fact that she used so much within a month. Like, she had ended up blacking out after a whole month of no sleep whatsoever. She also says that moving to Florida was another big thing that comes to her mind because she was 19, she didn't really have any money, she was in a terrible relationship, and she said that she just kind of dealt with it because she didn't feel like her family would want her back because she was just in it, you know? So then I asked her, like, what is your experience with being high? Like, what is it like? And she said she just felt born again. She was alive. She had all this energy, and she compared it to downing 40 cups of coffee and like still needing more. Like, there was never enough. Of course, I asked her, like, what's it like coming down? The climax is always great. What's it like afterwards? What happens? She said that coming down is so depressing and like crippling anxiety. She said that she felt extremely sad, and that you can't sleep, but like you haven't slept in days. And she also said that it's almost like she couldn't function because like she wouldn't eat, she wouldn't drink water, like she had nothing for days. And so once she come down, I mean, she said it was like absolute misery. So then of course that led me to the question of like, how many times a day did you have to use to like stay comfortable? Like, what was your amount? She stated that she would get high multiple times a day, as well as all through the night too, to be able to stay awake and not to come down off of her high. And she also said that like any moment that she had to herself, she spent it getting high. So then I asked her, like, were you ever put into like a sketchy situation, like anything dangerous, like any point where you were like, oh shit, this is bad? She said that there was a time that they went to a trap house and they had what she called company, and she put quotations around that, so obviously that means that's important to the story. She states that her ex and her were like selling weed at the time, and so these people told them that they had someone that might be interested in buying some from them. So they started kind of like walking around with her, and she had started to say that she was in on a murder, and there was videos of her torturing this person, and if anyone ever found them, that she would be in prison for a very long time. But she said while they were talking about this, she was walking them through like multiple like sketchy alleys, and she said that she started to get a little nervous, but by the grace of God, a cop was driving down the alley that they were walking down. The cop that was driving down actually stopped them and kind of was like trying to talk to them while this girl had ran off. So they let Haley and her ex-boyfriend off and set them free so they could go find her. And Haley states that she truly believes that that girl was going to lead them to a very dangerous situation, like kidnapping them or even hurting them. That led me to the question where I asked her, like, did your parents know? Like, did any of your family members know? Like, what was it like when they found out? All that kind of stuff. She said that her parents knew something was going on, but they didn't know quite the extent that she had gone to at that point. And they didn't find out exactly what was going on until she actually got arrested. And then right after that, she told them that she was just leaving to Florida right away. So then I asked her, like, what was the worst thing that your addiction caused you to do? And she said that she had lied and cheated to multiple people, and she also allowed her ex-boyfriend to steal from someone that she was very close with. And obviously she feels super remorseful about this. I asked her to describe what her experience was in jail. She states that she had been several times, and the first time was like so scary. And this was during COVID, so they had to quarantine for 14 days. Like, they could not be around anybody for 14 days. And like, thinking about it, it was like, damn, that's a vacation. But when you really look at it, that's terrifying. Like, talking to no one for 14 days, like, I can't imagine it would drive me nuts. She also said that they had like a 24-hour lockdown thing, and so it was really hard to like even get a shower, to even be let out for 5 minutes, to like get anything done, do anything at all. And she said that once she was able to get into a cell block with other women, she said it was like 10 times easier. She did note that like the last time she was in jail, she had missed like all the significant holidays, and like that just like absolutely shattered her. But she knew that other women in their pods were like missing their kids and stuff, and she felt super like insignificant. Like, her pain really didn't matter, so she just kind of like bottled it up and kind of like held it in. And obviously this is enough to like traumatize anyone, and I hope that she knows that your feelings matter, no matter how big or small they are, and no matter how big or small someone else's struggle is. And I love you, and I think you're great. Mid-video reminder. Well, that led me to like my next question of like, what was your moment? Like, what smacked you in the face and was like, here's your clarity? And she states that it was when she was first on house arrest. All she could do was like work and sleep. That's all she did. Obviously this drove her crazy, so she realized like she never wanted to be held down like this again. And so the only way to stop this from ever happening again was for her to sit her ass down, do what she needed to do, get clean, do the right thing. And she said that she also knew how much pain she had caused her mom. And if you guys knew her mom, she is an absolute angel. She is the sweetest, teensy weensiest woman. She's so soft-spoken. Oh, she's a doll. So she said that she realized how much pain she put her mother and her dad. Her dad's a freaking hoot. My uncle, he's something. She also stated that like she was her youngest baby and the last of 3 children to go through a pretty severe addiction. And she said that enough was enough, and she did not want to put her mommy through this anymore. So then I asked her, like, what was recovery like for you? Like, did you go to a facility? Did you do it at home? Did you do cold turkey? Like, And she said that the first time she went to rehab was in Florida, and it was more of like a long-term residential type of facility. And she states that like at that time she thought it would work for her because she wanted the freedom, but now she realizes that was too much freedom and like it just didn't work for her. She said that it was a super bad influence, that she was just kind of allowed to go and come as she pleased, which obviously leads you to the next question, like, did you go cold turkey? Did you have medication assistance? She said that at first she had medication assistance, and she was on a program called marijuana maintenance, where like you're allowed to smoke weed to help with like side effects and withdrawal symptoms. She stated that she believes that this does work, but she personally should not have had that introduced to her like that soon in her recovery. So I asked her like what facilities like she had went to. She said that she went to a couple in Florida, and when she came home she still had like a lot of issues of using. And when she came home she said that she didn't use like quite as much, but obviously like is bad. And so she said, like, obviously it was still a problem. So then she went to a facility here in Indiana, in our home state. She said that it was a 30-day program. It was super strict and it literally saved her life. So that led me to the question to ask her, like, what was it like the day you woke up and realized, like, you had no more in your system, you were sober, you were in active recovery? What did it feel like? And she said that it was super strange and she, like, didn't know who she was. She said, like, I knew the junkie me, but I really didn't know, like, in my heart who I truly was anymore. She said that she kind of had to, like, relearn what it was like to be a good human, to be a good friend, a good daughter, a good cousin, you know, to be a good person again. What it was like to find what she enjoyed doing. She also said that it was difficult finding, like, what her limits were, like what senses triggered her, like what smells, sights, and also people. She said that that lasted for a really long time. Like, she would get really triggered super easily through seeing people, seeing things, and smelling things. I asked her, like, do you still have urges? Because some people that, like, quit smoking or quit drinking coffee or caffeine or anything like that, like, you ask them and 10 years down the road, they're like, oh man, I would do anything to smoke a cigarette. And I used to be a smoker as well, and I somewhat agree. The oral, like, fixation, like having something to do and having something to constantly, like, we eat, we smoke before we go to bed, we smoke when we wake up, we smoke da 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 da. So she said that it's not really urges, but sometimes she kind of gets, like, flashbacks of her being high and, like, feeling the feeling of being high. And so she said that she doesn't really, like, miss actually being that, but she does have kind of, like, recollections of what it was like, and not so much wanting to do it, but just remembering. And I asked her, like, do you ever miss it? Like, is it, like, tempting to go back? And she said that sometimes she misses the feeling of, like, having no responsibilities, and the only thing that she had to focus on was, like, getting her next fix. And so she knows that, like, that's not really how it was, but looking back now, like, that's how she felt. And she sometimes, like, just misses the carefreeness of, like, not giving a shit about anything else, kind of like the stress-free thing, only worrying about one thing and one thing only. And I asked her how long it had been, like, since she's been in, like, active recovery, and she said that she's been in active recovery since the last time she got out of jail, and she's coming up on her 2nd year, which is so great. I'm so happy for her. I'm so excited for her, and I know how hard she's worked. And so then I just asked her, like, you've been in recovery for all this time, like, what is your life like now? Like, tell me what you're doing. And she said that her life is the best it could be, in her opinion. You know, like, she has her shit together. She has a good job. She's working on finding a place with her boyfriend. They've been together for quite a while. She trusts herself. She trusts people that she's around. She truly, like, knows herself again. And she is 1000%, like, truly, genuinely happy with where she's at now, which I think that's so great. I asked her again, like, what do you think your addiction did for you? Like, did it make you realize, like, how precious life is? And, like, now that you're in recovery, you really, really appreciate every single day? Or is it more of, like, a setback that kind of, like, haunts you at night? She said that she believed that it could possibly be, like, a good thing for her. And she thinks that the fact that she was only 18 when her active addiction started opened her up to learn a lot of hard lessons really, really fast at a very young age. And she also said that she is thankful of, like, the struggles that she went through. And she is also grateful because she knows that not everyone had the resources and the out that she had. I asked her, like, do you feel like a completely different person? Like, did everything inside of you change? And she said, yes, she believes, like, she is a 1000% completely different person. Not only the fact that she was 18, but, like, she had no clue about life. She had no sense of direction at that time. And that she feels like if it weren't for her drug use, like, she wouldn't be the person that she is now, because she now treasures her life. It led her to meet, like, all these fantastic people, because, like, during her addiction, she said all she wanted to do was just, like, die. She just wanted to be done with it. And now she takes things, like, much more seriously, but, like, at the same time, she's also more carefree, which makes total and complete sense to me. And she states that, like, what can someone do to her that she already hasn't done to herself? So like in that aspect, she does not take things so seriously, but also like she enjoys more things. She enjoys the little things more. She has more fun doing fun things. She like really realizes like the joy of life. So then I asked her, like, what do you do now? Like what occupies your time? She enjoys her job, and then she added most of the time, which same girl, same. She says that she only owes about $500 to like court fees and stuff. And then after that, she is 1000% done with all of her legal issues. She says that she has a wonderful man in her life, and she cherishes all the time that they get to spend together, and they just started watching Game of Thrones and they are obsessed. She also spends a lot of time with her mom, my aunt, who I said before is like a literal walking angel. And now she says her mission every single day is to make one person laugh, because that brings her so much joy, which I think is so sweet. And now she says that she loves how her life is going and where she's at, and she loves everyone that supports her so much more deeply, and she is super, super thankful of all the support that she had and all of the people that had her back. And she says that she did it all for herself, but also like obviously for the people around her. And so she said that she is just like truly, truly happy with where she's at, which I couldn't be more happy for her. Obviously she's my cousin and I love her, but like anybody that was struggling with addiction and is now in recovery, like, dude, I'm so freaking proud of you. I know several people personally who struggle with addiction, and I know that loving an addict is sometimes just as hard as being an addict. So I feel for her, and I'm so proud of her every single day for making the hardest decision to get clean and to be in recovery. And I just adore her, and she's got such a good life now. And part of the reason that I wanted to make this video was to show people like, I'm rooting for you. I don't have to know you. I'm sending you love every single minute of every single day. Every second that you choose not to use, I'm that much more proud of you. And also my inboxes are always open. I'll leave my Instagram in the description box back down below. I am not a licensed like therapist. I don't specialize in addiction in any way, but if you just need an opening ear to someone that loves you because you're in recovery and you just want to talk about your struggles, I'm totally here anytime. And I'm proud of you, and you're a fucking badass. So she had given me permission to use the one and only photo that she had taken during her active addiction, so I'll put it here. That pretty much wraps it up for me. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. Please share this with someone that you think may need this. It could absolutely save a life. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Please like it, share, comment, subscribe, Anyways, just tell me how proud of Haley that you are and how much we love her and support her. And I will see you guys later. Bye.